Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Samsung Galaxy S21. The Samsung Galaxy S25 is around the corner. So should you buy this phone now, or should you just not buy it in general? Should you wait till the S25 gets out to get this phone? We'll get into all that stuff right now. First off, how much can you find this phone for? Well, let's go on eBay and look. Now, of course, you can find some new ones on here, but they're very rare and most likely going to be overpriced. So if you are buying a Samsung S21, you're most likely looking at a refurbished market or the used market. Like I got mine used for $120. Literally no issues, like at all. Literally nothing wrong with it. So I'm on eBay, obviously, and I put these two filters on, buy it now and use. That's the ones I would recommend. And as we can see, first right here, there's a medium screen burn-in on this one. So we're not really interested in ones with screen burn-ins, but we have other options right here. If we keep swiping, we'll eventually find some really good deals. Make sure you read the descriptions on some of these and make sure you buy it from a trusted seller with at least more than 2 reviews and it has multiple stars. As right here, we have a Samsung S21 FE you could get, but once again, we're not looking at the S21 FE. We are looking at S21, but I would recommend the S21 FE too. That one's a pretty good phone. As you can see, this person has a Samsung S21 for $110. You could get that one, or you could keep scrolling until you find some other deals. You can get an S21 Plus for $140. S21 FE once again. So make sure y'all, once again, looking at these photos. I found one right here for $120 from this trusted source, but there is a little crack in the corner, so y'all could get this one right here if you don't mind the crack. Yeah, just if you look long enough and make sure you get it from a trusted source, you'll be perfectly fine. Of course, you'll get good deals every so often. Like I got $120 once again for this phone. I got a steal. But this phone averages around $140-ish, I would say. But should you actually buy this phone? Honestly, no, but if you do, you won't be disappointed. Now, the reason I say no is because, once again, the S25 is around the corner. So you could either just wait for the S25 to come out, then these other older phones are definitely, obviously, going to drop in price. Or you could get a Samsung S22 now, which I would recommend over the S21. The only reason is because it's newer, so it's going to be supported longer. Samsung S21 either has 1 year left in it, or it is no longer supported after this update. Right now, it's on the newest version of Android, but we don't know yet if it's going to get Android 15. Because right now, it's on Android 14. We don't know if it'll get 15, so it might just be stuck on Android 14, or it might get 15, then 15 will be the last one. And if it does get 15, 15 would most likely be the last update it gets. But if you were to get an S22, it has like 2-ish years left in it, so you'll get all the way to like Android 17, because the newer Samsung phones are supported longer, which make sense. It's just, I think Samsung has. But if you do end up buying this phone, let me tell you some good stuff about this phone, because I've been maining this phone for a few days now. Absolutely love this device. There is no lag on my model. If you were to get a Samsung S20, you will also not really experience lag, but I have noticed the Samsung S21 is obviously going to be smoother than the Samsung S20 with animations, and the reason is because it's actually supported still. The Samsung S20 is a year behind on on Android 13 and One UI 5, and this thing is on like One UI 6. S21's on like One UI 6 and Android 14, which has massive animation improvements. But once again, the S20 is not slow or laggy. Now, what else is good about this phone? The cameras. The cameras on this phone do not disappoint. This phone can film up to 4K, I am pretty sure. Nope, I got that wrong. 8K video. Now, will you use that? Probably not, but the option's there, which is cool to have. This phone also has 30 times zoom, which is to be expected on any Samsung phone after the Samsung Galaxy S20, unless you buy A series. Those usually average at like 10 times digital zoom, 2 times, 3 times optical zoom. Same can be said with the Samsung S21 with 3 times optical zoom, but obviously 30 times digital zoom. And the digital zoom on this thing is actually really good. I'll put some photos here on the screen that this phone took with 30 times zoom. Not disappointing. You won't be disappointed with this 30 times zoom, but you're most likely not really going to use it, if I'm going to be honest. But let's move on from the camera now, and let's talk about the processor. This phone has a Snapdragon 888, and it definitely gets the job done. I've had no issues with heating or anything like that. I have had some issues with the battery draining a tiny bit fast, not crazy fast, just a little bit fast. So once again, if you are buying this S21, and a battery is a super duper important thing for you, then I low-key just get the S21 Plus or Ultra, most likely the Plus, because it's going to have a bigger battery, and the S21 Ultra is kind of like overpriced, if we want to be honest. Speaking of battery life, this thing gets me around 4.5 hours of screen on time when I'm just doing daily usage. That could last you however long. You might say, oh, my phone lasts me 2 days. That's not 48 hours of usage though, you know what I'm saying? So screen on time with this phone is 4.5 hours for me, and that is at 120 hertz. If it's at 60 hertz, you might get an hour longer, but it's really not that much of a difference to be honest. But the 120 hertz feels super smooth, of course. Now let's just talk about the screen. The Samsung S21 gets around 1,300 peak nit brightness, which is really good. My iPhone 13 gets around 800 peak nit brightness. Low key, not that bright, but 1,300 is really, really good. Newer phones, newer Samsung phones get like 2,000, 1,750 nits, but 1,300 nits is still really, 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 really good. And the screen also is a 1080p panel, obviously 120 hertz, but there is a little bit of a chin right there. I don't know if you're able to tell. Maybe let me turn on light mode so you can see it easier. So as you can see, the bezels all around are small, but there is a little bit of a chin. So if you were to get the Samsung S22 instead of this phone, you are actually getting even bezels. But if that don't bother you, I mean, it don't bother me. It's just something to point out, I guess. So I low-key just rounded everything up. I'll just go over some other stuff here that I haven't gone over yet. This phone charges super fast. It has MagSafe. If you want to get a MagSafe case, it will work, obviously. The fingerprint scanner does not disappoint. The Face ID is mid, not going to lie. Samsung Face ID isn't really the best because it's 2D and it's not 3D, but the fingerprint scanner is really good on this phone. The speakers are actually really good on this phone. What else can I say? This phone don't even really look old. This phone looks like it might have came out 2 years ago, a year ago. This phone does not look 3-4 years old. So the Samsung S21 is definitely holding up, but if I were you, I would just spend the extra money, get an S22, get an S23 FE if you can, because it will be supported longer. But if you do get the S21, you will actually not be disappointed with this phone because this phone is amazing. So yeah, I love this phone.